What's up, everybody? And this is your girl Leah B, and I welcome you to the latest episode of In the Mix, where I provide you a history lesson on all your favorite genres of music. So happy Sunday, everybody! I know, I know, I know. I was gonna drop the latest episode, this episode, last month, well, yesterday. But I just been so busy and I just could not do it. Usually I am like consistent. I've been really consistent with the monthly drops and everything, but yo, I just couldn't do it. Not this month, not last month. So that's why I'm dropping it today. I like to say this is a brand new month, brand new episode. So let's get into it. So this episode is about Brandy Norwood and how her second album affected the 1990s all the way around. So yeah, I love Brandy. She's one of my favorite singers as well. She's not an all-time favorite singer, but she is up there with my favorite singers. So, yeah, this album was like a masterpiece to me. Like in high school, that's all I would like. I would play that song. I mean, that album, Never Say Never, over and over and over again. And yeah, because it was hitting. Like, I absolutely loved that album. Her first album was okay. I liked I Wanna Be Down. I wanna be down, broken hearted, baby, stuff like that. I was like 10 when that album came out, but that's when um I became a fan. Was when um well, I always was a fan, but I was like 10 when her debut album came out, and I would always, growing up, would listen, like, watch her show, Moesha. I'm still mad about the way it ended till this day. I don't know why it ended the way it ended. It was just stupid. Like, who? When we gonna find out who kidnapped Miles? Like, why they kidnap him? And like, who was pregnant when they found it was? Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, was it Moesha? Was it Niecy? Who was pregnant? But anyway, but yeah. So yeah, I was gonna talk about her second album. So let's talk about how she got started. So the 90s was a defining decade for music, especially R&B. During the mid 90s, R&B was huge, especially among the younger audience. Like, there were 3 R&B singers that were out, like, among my generation: Aaliyah, Brandy, and Monica. I didn't know who Aaliyah was until her second album. So, but anyway, and the artist who dominated the mid 90s was Brandy. So Brandy was born February 11, 1979 in McComb, Mississippi, and moved to California in the 80s. Her dad was a choir director. Her mom was a manager at H&R Block. Her musical influence was Whitney Houston all the way around. Most of y'all probably knew that. But yeah, that she loved her some Whitney Houston. Early in her career, she started out. She was discovered by the manager Chris Stokes. He discovered Immature. She was signed to a distribution deal. It was either distribution or development deal called it was called Tea Makers or something like that in 1990. And also during that time while she was in California, she did background vocals for Immature at the time. Many at the time. So that's how she got her start. Was singing background for Immature, actually. And also during that time, she was in. She was also in a TV show called Thea. That didn't last long at all. Jason Weaver was in it too, because I used to watch it. Well, they used to play it on and reruns and everything like that. But she was in Thea. And then that show didn't last long at all. And that's when once that album, I mean, God, once that show went off the air, she began working on her debut album. And her debut album came out September of 1994. It became a success. It was titled Brandy, self-titled. It became a commercial success as well. At first, when it first initially was released, it was kind of slow. The sales were slow. And the album reached the top 20 on the Billboard charts. And it was certified 4 times platinum. And the singles that came out off that album was "I Want to Be Down" and "Baby." Those singles reached the top 10. It was 3 top 10 singles as well. That not just "I Want to Be Down" and "Baby." It was "Broken Hearted" as well. She had a duet with Wanye of Boyz II Men, who's also my favorite singer as well. They're my all-time favorite singing group. Boyz II Men, all day, whoop whoop, all day, and I guess, after that duet, they did a duet to get on that song. They began dating. They dated about maybe a good 2 years, I think. That's how I remember. Yeah, I remember they were dating for a good 2 years. And after that, they broke up. And during that time, she was nominated for Grammys. I think 2 Grammys. Like Best New Artist? I think it was Best New Artist, Best Single of Duo Group or something like that. The 3 singles went gold and silver. It went worldwide. It sold over 6 million copies. And yeah, she won. She was nominated for 2 Grammy nominations for Best New Artist and Best Female Vocal Performance the following year. And she won 4 Soul Train Music Awards, 2 Billboard Awards, and a New York Children's Choice Award as well. During the success of her debut album, she contributed to the Waiting to Exhale soundtrack with the song "Sitting Up in My Room, Back Here Thinking About You. I must confess, I'm a mess for you." Yeah, that's my jam. So that went to number 2 on the Billboard charts as well. She also did a Batman Forever soundtrack as well. So by 98, she was already R&B's it girl. She was like everywhere. Cause yeah, she was everywhere. By that time, she um, was with had her own show, Moesha. And she also did a movie with her mentor, Whitney Houston, the remake of Cinderella, which was pretty good. It was an ABC TV movie. And yeah, so she began working on Never Say Never in the fall of '97. And she wanted to break away from the poppy, you know, sound of her debut album. So it was released 4 years after her debut. Um, she wanted a more mature, because by the time um, by the time Never Say Never came out and started recording, she was like 19. So she was looking for another sound. And that's when she began working with Rodney Jerkins. And she was working with him all the way up until Full Moon. And yeah, she started. They were like a duo. Even though his sound was pretty good anyway. So she wanted a more mature sound. She didn't want to talk about heartbreak and longing for love. She wanted to talk about more mature things because her boyfriend, Wanya, and her broke up. So she wanted to talk about that. She wanted to talk about personal experience with love and the media, things of that nature. So with that sound, with that album, it was very ballad heavy and also had an adult contemporary sound as well and an urban pop sound as well. Um, with this album, that's basically sealed her deal. Like she was getting like movies. She was in I Know What You Did Last Summer and stuff. And also, she co-wrote like 6 songs off that album as well. And that's when she had her biggest hit was on that album was The Boy's Mine, and she had a duet with Monica. And during that time as well, people were pitting them against each other because they came out at around the same time, so they were putting each other. I don't know if they still like each other or not, but anyway. But yeah, that became her biggest hit. She won her first Grammy with that um album. I mean, with that song. Both her and Monica did for best um I think duo or group. And also um she had about maybe 8 of the song. It spent The Boy's Mind spent 13 weeks on the Billboard charts. And when it initially, like when she was recording it, like in the process of recording it, she honestly, it almost didn't happen, to be quite honest. Because I remember in the interview, she was saying she would listen to songs, like they would play songs to her in the studio. She was not feeling it at all. She was just not. They were just giving her songs, and she wanted to express her own values and things of that sort. They weren't feeling it. She wasn't feeling it. And she would say, many of the, so this is her quote. She was like, many of the songs I heard were not me. They did not express what I wanted to say at this point of my career. I critiqued myself, and I'm not the little girl when I made my first record. My voice is stronger, a stronger instrument now. My vocals came from my heart and my diaphragm. My heart because I have matured in the last 4 years since the last album, and I am emotionally there. The diaphragm because I've been practicing, doing more skills with my father, and strengthening my sound. So yeah, she did not want to do that album at all. She was not feeling it. But my favorite songs on that album was Angel in Disguise, Angel in Disguise, because Joe was on the background vocals. Almost doesn't count as my jam to this day. That's like my jam. And what's the other one? Put That on Everything. That's a classic right there. Put That on Everything is like the bomb diggity. So, but yeah, it sold. So it spawned about 4 singles: Boy's Mine, Never Say Never. I'm sorry. The Boy Is Mine, Have You Ever, and Sitting on Top of the World. Sitting on Top of the World became an international chart topper as well. And see what else. Yeah, that was a top chopper as well. With that album. So it was like that was her. To this day, this album is still the greatest album of all time. And so yeah, The Boy's Mind spent 13 weeks at number 1. It grounded her a Grammy. She co-wrote The Boy's Mind, and she won a Grammy for Best R&B Performance by a Duo or Group. And yeah, this was like her best album. And they were saying Never Say Never became a commercial appeal. The Boy's Mind had real strong R&B roots. Also, another song that was arguably one of the best songs of the 90s on that album was Angel in Disguise. Like I mentioned before, that's my all-time favorite album ever. And yeah, this album became like with this album, she was known as the vocal Bible because the way she would stack her vocals to this day, like she was one of the arguably the greatest like vocalists of all time. I think so because the girl can sing, okay. And yeah, so but yeah, the album, I like the album. The album was the greatest album to me. That will always be a classic in my eyes. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I just this episode is gonna be kind of short. I just wanted to talk about how this album affected R&B. It became her biggest album of all time. And it's also my favorite album of all time by her. Her other albums are cool. I wasn't really feeling Full Moon after that. Full Moon is the only song I like by her on that album. Aphrodisiac was cool too. But the last album, B7, I love that album too. That's a great album as well. But the worst album to me, sorry Brandy fans, super fans, is Human. I did not like that album. I'm sorry, but that album was trash. Sorry. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about this album and how it affected R&B and whatnot. And yeah, and how she became a superstar with this album. So anyway, I thank you for listening. If you want to keep in touch with me and the podcast, I'm on Instagram. It is In the Mix with Leah B. And I'm also on Facebook, which is It Is In the Mix with Leah B. So check me out on Instagram, on all the socials. Yeah, so until next time, thank you for listening. All right, y'all. Peace and love.